Good morning, world of YouTube and Facebook. It's Woohoo Wednesday. Vicky Midwood here, the alcohol addiction and disordered eating eliminator. I am here today on this rather dull and windy Wednesday to just share with you something that's cropped up recently. And you might have seen my post this morning. I was posting about James Clear's book, which you may or may not have read. If you haven't read it, I really do suggest that you do. And what we're talking about is how we can make changes at little tiny increments, i.e. 1% changes that end up making really, really big changes over time. And this is something that I've been talking about quite a lot recently, because what is happening, it seems, is that everybody at the moment is rushing to change how they feel, change their weight, change their size, change what they're doing, change everything, right? In one go. And it's way too much. Now, I know that this whole pandemic has meant that we've all had to adapt and we've all had to change. And for some of us, they've been really quite big changes. And we've got to allow ourselves time to actually get used to big changes. But what I'm finding from a lot of people is that they are now discovering, especially if you're working from home and you haven't got that kind of set hours and expectations, maybe from when you were working in an office, or if you have completely pivoted and decided to begin your own business, it's very, very easy, if you're not physically going somewhere else, to let your home life and your private life and your work life all meld into one and not have clear distinctions of when you are working and when is your downtime. And for a lot of people who work on their own, there is often this idea, well, you know what, I really do enjoy what I'm doing and it doesn't feel like work. Fine, I absolutely get that because I feel the same. But you also have to be quite strict in terms of looking after yourself. And that includes giving yourself downtime and noticing how you are feeling in terms of energy, in terms of motivation, and in terms of whether you can focus and concentrate on stuff. Because if your energy is dropping, if your motivation is disappearing day on day, and if you're finding it more and more difficult to focus, those are clear signs that you need to take a look at your current behavior patterns, your current choices, and maybe just make some small tweaks and changes. Now, I posted in my group recently about who wants to actually jump on board and transform how they're feeling and their health, and who's ready to commit. And, you know, and the lady who commented is probably commenting on behalf of a lot of people when she said that she wants to, but she's just so exhausted and so busy with work that she just doesn't have the time, right? And I absolutely get it. So I wanted to address that, because one thing that I do know that a lot of people do when they are struggling with energy levels and are feeling tired all the time is they end up turning to stimulants like coffee, like energy drinks, or sweetened caffeine-filled drinks. I'm talking things like Diet Coke or maybe Red Bull or something similar that is going to give you a quick energy boost. And the problem with these things is, yes, they will work short term, but they will actually end up making your fatigue, your tiredness worse. And this is the problem if you're turning to food, sugary foods, and not giving yourself the opportunity to take a breather and sit down and eat proper food. So if you're grabbing at a sandwich, if you're grabbing at, I don't know, a cake or a pastry, because it's just easy to eat it with your fingers and it's easy to eat on the go, what you're going to be doing is creating this blood sugar, absolute bonkers roller coaster. Now, when you combine that blood sugar roller coaster from the food and drink that you're putting into your body with the blood sugar roller coaster that is also created from stress, you are going to feel pretty exhausted a lot of the time. So you can't give yourself a massive overhaul. I absolutely get that. And this is where so many people struggle with change, because they've got this crazy idea, and I'm guessing it's come from social media and what you see people talking about in magazines. But if you want to make transformational change, i.e. change who you are being and how you are living for good, not just for a short term, then you don't want to be trying to change everything all at once. It's too much. It's too overwhelming. And this is why, if you can look at changing some small things, right, just make little tweaks that over time are going to make a big difference, then it's so much easier to get your head around. And for those of you who don't know, but maybe have been starting to listen to the stuff that I put out or read in my posts, one thing that I absolutely focus on with all of my clients, whether I'm working with disordered eating clients, whether I'm working with clients with social anxiety issues, whether I'm working with alcohol dependent clients, or people who have got autoimmune diseases or gut issues or hormone imbalances going on, doesn't matter who the client is. What I do with all of them is try and make things as simple and as easy to implement as possible, because you're already in a state of stress by the time you're seeking help. So it's not helpful for me to make it more complicated and to reinforce this idea that you've probably already got, that change and transformation is hard, because honestly, it does not have to be. But if you go in with the mindset that it's going to be, well, guess what? You'll probably make it that way. So one of the things that you can do, if tiredness is something that is really getting you down at the moment, is first of all, look at what is your sleep habits like at the moment. If you can be pretty vigilant with going to bed at the same time and getting up at the same time, you will find that your sleep will start to regulate and you'll start to begin to feel a little bit better. Will it happen overnight if you just do it for a few days? No. But over time, absolutely, it will make a big difference to how you feel and how you function. Because if you're getting enough sleep, and ideally you want to be in bed before 10 o'clock. And I know for some of you, you're going, what? I'm still working at that time. And this is part of the problem. Right? If you're working late into the night and you're trying to then get up and start immediately again the next day, your body and all of its systems, including your brain, just do not get the opportunity to fully recharge and rebalance. And so it's always trying to play catch up, and it never will, unless you can change what you're doing slightly. Now, does that mean that if you're somebody who's going to bed at midnight, you suddenly try to go to bed at 10? No, of course not. That's way too hard. And this is what I mean about you making these changes easy to implement and simple, a little bit at a time. So if you're normally going to bed at midnight, try going to bed at 11:15, and then try going to bed at 11:30. And then try going to bed at 11:15, right? You start doing it incrementally so that it's not such a shock to the system. Because if you're going to bed at midnight and you try going to bed at 10, you're probably going to lie there, right? And not being able to sleep, and that'll make you more stressed. So you can see where I'm going with this. Now, if you find that you are getting tired and exhausted during the day and you're going for chocolate or pastries or cakes or toast, or you're just grabbing a ready meals or whatever to keep you kind of going, then I'm going to invite you to look at maybe switching that up and perhaps taking, instead of a coffee, a greens drink. Now, I've got an example here. I'm not promoting this brand particularly. This is just one that I've got a packet handy. But a super greens drink that you can just mix with water, or you can make into a smoothie instead of grabbing a coffee, chocolate and cakes in the afternoon or in the morning, whichever works best for you. Another thing that you can do, and again, it's a drink based, is if you are not eating during the day because you're too busy or you're eating on the hoof, then you're probably not getting enough protein, because most things that you can grab in your hands tend to be carby based things, unless you're really vigilant and you have, boiled eggs ready cooked for you to grab in the kitchen, and you have chicken legs and stuff like that, tins of tuna that you can just pick up. If not, another drink, something like this, which is essential amino acids. Now, this has got a lemon and lime flavor, and you just literally put it in water, and it tastes absolutely fine. A little bit sweet maybe, but for those of you who are used to drinking something like Diet Cokes or energy drinks, and I'm sure that that's a good alternative. Now, why is that important that you get something like an amino acids drink? Well, your amino acids are going to help your body and your brain to cope with all of the stress that you're feeling or not feeling, but definitely experiencing. Because here's the thing with stress, and I've said it before, we don't always feel stressed, but the body is under stress. And when that is happening, one thing is for sure, it's not going to let go of body fat. So if weight is an issue and you are exhausted and tired and you're stressed and you're trying to restrict your food, you are absolutely setting yourself up for a real struggle. But if you can allow yourself to look at what you're doing with your time and what choices you're making, so switch up a coffee for a greens drink, or switch up a cup of tea for an amino acids drink. Look at getting enough hydration. So if you think you want to grab a chocolate bar, maybe grab a glass of water first. So look at those simple things. Remember, the more you grab at those quick fix, energy boosting foods, the more tired you will feel. The other way to boost your energy, if you're feeling tired, is to do something that you're telling yourself you haven't got the energy to do, and that's move your body. Notice I didn't say exercise, because a lot of people think exercise has to look a certain way. It has to be an hour or 45 minutes, and no, it doesn't. And again, if you've been listening to me regularly, you will know that I am not somebody who suggests that anybody works out for a long, long time, especially if fatigue and tiredness is an issue, and especially if you've got any kind of autoimmune issues going on, or you're struggling with stress, because all you're going to do if you exercise for a long period of time is create more stress, which is not what you want to do. So short bursts, I'm talking 2 minutes of movement. It could be as simple as you waiting for the kettle to boil, grab a skipping rope and just skip for 20 seconds, take a 10-second break, skip for 20 seconds, take a 10 or 20-second break, right? If you just do that for 2 minutes, skip, stop, skip, stop, skip, stop, skip, stop. Right? You can literally boost how you're feeling in terms of your mood. You will increase your energy very, very quickly, and it will just change how you then are able to focus. Now, you can do that as many times in a day as you want. And I know people are busy, but I'm sure that you've got a couple of minutes. And if you can tell yourself that 2 minutes is enough to boost your energy, you can fit that in. And if you need to do it multiple times a day, do it. You can do jumping jacks. You could run up your stairs in 2s if you live in a house, and run down them 3 times, right? It doesn't have to be put on a video and get equipment out and all that. No, right? Keep it simple. You might just want to do some simple jumping jacks or running on the spot. Get out in the garden and just literally do something like walking barefoot, or pretending that you are forest bathing, even if you're not in a forest, and look up at the sky and feel the grass beneath your feet. Now, does that take ages? Well, it takes as long as it takes to take your shoes and socks off and get your butt outside, right? And just move for more than 2 minutes. No, it might be 3 minutes, but I'm sure, again, you've got 3 minutes to be able to do that, because throughout the day, that will add up. And it allows your body to come down into its parasympathetic nervous system if you do that, and you will feel better. If you're doing the short, sharp bursts, you will definitely lift your mood. It will increase those feel-good endorphins, but without the stimulants that are going to play havoc with your blood sugar levels. So for those of you who are struggling at the moment, and maybe it's because you know what, you're ready for a holiday, but you can't see that you're going to be able to get one. And maybe you wanted to go abroad and it's not happening, or because you just don't know what's going on with the schools and you've got kids, or for whatever reason, maybe things are not panning out as you perhaps had hoped and planned. But just remember that there is a lot that you can do. But the more you pick up stimulants, the more you stay up late and try and get up early to get stuff done, the more you are actually making your exhaustion and your tiredness worse. And I'm just going to finish on this. If you don't start making those little changes, then eventually your body will force you to. Because it has a habit of doing that. What it does is it will give you the signs, right? And if you're not listening, it will give you them bigger and louder. And if you're still not listening, it will make you, right? So you'll either get an illness, or something will happen, whether it's to you or to somebody else in the family. But there will be something that happens that forces you to slow down and to stop. because that's what your body does. It's an amazing thing and it wants you to survive. So I'm encouraging you to do the best that you can by making those little 1% changes consistently over time, and you will start to notice a difference. So change does not have to be hard, right? Unless you make it that way. I hope that's helpful, and I hope you do have a woohoo Wednesday, whatever you get up to, and I'll see you on the next live very, very soon.